Hello and welcome to Coffee with Carey. Thanks for stopping by today. So they cheated, and now what? And I want to clarify before we start that I'm not talking about people who have been married for 15, 20, 30 years and somebody strays, because people who have been married a long time sometimes can find ways to work through that, because the priority, especially if they have children, is often on keeping the family unit together for the sake of everybody. And they're more likely to go to therapy or try to work it out, deal with the emotional damage that's taken place, and stay together. But I'm talking more about a relationship that may be a long-term committed relationship, but without children. This might be somebody cheated on you after you've been together for a month. Could be you've been dating for 4 years. Somebody cheats and there's fallout to that. An exclusive monogamous relationship where one of the parties has cheated, and what do we do now? I'm not a marriage counselor, I'm not a therapist, but I do deal with my own clients as they go through the dating journey, and this happens sometimes. I hope you'll stick around if that sounds interesting, intriguing, or think it might be helpful, because that's what's on the agenda. I think we need more clarification. Emotional cheating, physical cheating, micro cheating, virtual cheating. These all mean different things to different people. Some of these are a conversation for a couple, setting boundaries. Others consider this a deal breaker. Maybe you should know ahead of time and have a conversation about what your boundaries are in this day and age, and in a relationship where it hasn't been clarified what the expectations are. You can avoid some of this with communication. So why not say, hey, I think it's good to discuss what our expectations are in this relationship. I'm thinking we're in a monogamous relationship, and I would never stand for anybody, even on the internet, talking to somebody. That would be a deal breaker for me. And what are your feelings on this? It's like anything else in a relationship. Having a conversation about things before they happen or before they become an issue sets you up with better odds for success. Being cheated on is very hurtful. It is a violation of trust, and along with that betrayal of trust comes a lot of emotions. Brings disappointment, anger, hurt, bitterness, often insecurity in your judgment, in yourself, in the relationship, and wondering whether anything that you thought was true about this relationship was not even accurate. So I think, first of all, you should know, if you're feeling any of those things, that all of those emotions are valid, and you should not just stuff them back down. You should acknowledge that they're normal, and this is perfectly okay to feel this way if you've been betrayed by a partner. You do not need to stifle the feelings you're having, even if they're outward manifestations of this. So if you feel like you need to cry or you need to scream, make sure you don't alarm anybody. Maybe scream into your pillow or out in the, well, I wouldn't even do it out hiking somewhere somebody could hear you and worry. So maybe a pillow, but let it out, right? If there's something that's going to make you feel better, tend to yourself and do what you think will make you feel better. You don't want to ignore those feelings or those tendencies to express your emotions. Number 2, you don't have to go through these feelings and this betrayal alone. You can find somebody to support you, whether it's a friend, a family member, a therapist or counselor. There's no reason that you can't be supported in this if you feel that would help you. I will say, however, that social media is definitely not somewhere you should turn with those emotions, or with any type of getting even on your mind, any type of revenge. One of the reasons would be that in many areas, that type of revenge or getting even is illegal. And it really, in the end, won't make you feel better about yourself. It'll make you feel less. What is it that Michelle Obama says? When they go low, we go high. It's an opportunity to take the high road and not lower yourself to somebody else's lack of integrity or character. Number 3 would be that you have to decide whether you're going to stay or whether you're going to go. At the top of the episode, I talked about families. Very often they will try to work through it Esther Perel. She says her name differently than how I pronounce it. I pronounce it incorrectly, and I don't ever remember what the accurate pronunciation is. But she has a whole book, if you're dealing with this, that I will write down the name of it, actually maybe right here. And Esther is a fantastic couples therapist, and she has a book on infidelity. And it's amazing, and there's certainly worthwhile information in Esther. I don't know. It's an amazing book. She's great all around. Watch some of her TED Talks after my next episode. But even if you are in a childless, non-committed relationship or an early marriage, you got to decide whether this is walking away for you or whether this is coming back and clarifying and setting boundaries and trying one more time. And honestly, I would recommend that you not take anybody else's advice if you're choosing either one or the other, because nobody else is inside your relationship, knows the conversations you've had, knows the dynamics of the two of you, knows whether this person truly could be trustworthy again. Maybe you don't even know, but if you think you know, be very careful in making this decision, obviously, but nobody else can tell you what to do. It's up to you whether you stick around or whether you have a definitive answer that this person is out of your life. And in the end, who does it affect? Not your family, not your friends, you. Number 4 is to make a plan. Don't make any major decisions within the first 24 to 48 hours. It's not the time for that. Don't do anything drastic, but give yourself some time to work through it. Figure out what you're feeling, figure out what your thoughts are on this, and make a plan as to what comes next for you. What are you going to do now? That's certainly up to you, but it should be intentional rather than reactional. And that, I think, is important to keep in mind. And then finally, I would say that like all experiences, both positive and negative, it is an opportunity for learning. It may be learning what to look for early on and the signs you saw and ignored in a person to recognize those more quickly in the next person. It could be to know that that's not a big deal for you and you're willing to a person who's all about second chances. But as a human being, everything is a learning experience, and we can find the takeaways in even bad situations to make them useful as we move forward and smarter and more experienced in relationships and what we're looking for or not. Sometimes people are a great example of what we don't want in our next relationship. So if you can see this as a growth experience, by all means, try to do that. There are some very, very good reasons you should walk away from a relationship or even a marriage. And I'm going to put a link to that at the end of this episode. It's about the reasons you would get divorced or end a committed relationship. So if this topic is interesting to you, check that out next. I hope you found some of those interesting or helpful. If you did, that's my mom. She says, give the episode a thumbs up if you did. And I would not argue with that idea. But I would also suggest that you subscribe to the channel and then, of course, hit that ring bell because that lets you know every time a new episode goes live. I appreciate you stopping by today, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. And until then, have a good one.